Welcome back. Well, the results of Tanzania's general elections are trickling in 2 days after the East African nation voted in one of the country's tightly contested presidential races. The results from most of the constituencies have put the ruling party in the lead. Election Commission officials have called for calm and warned only they can declare the results. Now, this after opposition Chadema party alleged rigging in Sunday's presidential, general as well as local elections. Presidential results are not expected until later in the week. In the national presidential race, John Magufuli of the long-ruling Chama cha Mapinduzi is seen as the narrow favorite to beat ex-Prime Minister Edward Lowassa. And now for the latest on the Tanzania elections, we cross live to our contributing editor, Vuyo Mvoko. Vuyo, very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us now. The preliminary results have started trickling in. How far is the vote counting from now? And tell us who's in the lead.
Well, thanks very much, Alicia. Yes, indeed. I think just over a third or so have been counted so far. And as things are, the ruling party, Chama cha Mapinduzi, is in fact in the lead, in fact, by far. So it does look like status quo is going to prevail. However, it is going to be a much tighter or closer gap than it has ever been before. But so far, so good. There were even, like earlier on, some pronouncements made by several observer missions. They too are giving the election a thumbs up. The opposition, however, does have a whole range of issues that it has raised, but those issues are either being addressed or there is simply not much that can be done about them, certainly in terms of the country's constitution.
All right, look, Vuyo, what are the observer missions? I know you've just said that. What are the observer missions saying about these polls and allegations of fraud?
Electoral laws will always
you didn't tell me.
Amendment to suit the convenience or to suit the changes.
They are giving the election a thumbs up, from the SADC observer mission to the AU's observer mission, the Commonwealth observer mission. All the major ones did make pronouncements today, and by and large they are happy with how things have gone up to this point. However, they do raise quite a number of pertinent issues, among them the whole question of albinos who have been deprived of their inalienable right to actually vote, as many of them had to run away for fear that they may be victimized. So they came out quite strongly on that one. Another issue that they raised was the issue of the ability of aggrieved parties to actually challenge the outcome of the election in the event they felt there was something untoward. So those issues have certainly come through, and so did the issue of the appointment, or how this country goes about appointing people to the Electoral Commission, as well as the participation of women. So those are four among several other issues that the observer missions have actually raised. But having said all of that, or having pointed out those shortcomings, they did say that up until now they are actually very happy.
Look, Vuyo, what else can you tell us about the elections at this stage? We know a lot of people have lauded the peaceful nature that they've taken place, contrary to the predicted unrest.
Well, the opposition in particular, has raised such issues as, in fact, its leader, Mr. Lowassa, yesterday claimed that over 190 of the party's volunteers were arrested. We spoke earlier to the person responsible for police in and around Dar es Salaam, who said that there were no arrests made that had anything to do with the election itself. It is also raising the issue of vote rigging that they believe happened in certain places, but it is also raising the very issue that the observer missions have raised, and that is the participants being able to actually challenge the poll or aspects of it where they believe that some unjust things had actually happened. But we spoke a short while ago to the chairperson of the National Electoral Commission here in Tanzania, and asked him whether in fact the aggrieved parties had raised the issues with the Electoral Commission, and what he made of the comments that have been made by the respective observer missions. And this is what he had to say.
There's nothing peculiar or, with the phenomenon existing in Tanzania. Electoral laws will always need amendment to suit the convenience or to suit the changes of time. In here, I wouldn't be surprised to see many of the observers making the point that, well, maybe you should change the law to make it possible for people to challenge the results pertaining to the president. This is because, as far as the law stands, the Constitution, well, once we make the announcement here, that's the Electoral Commission, nobody can challenge that in the court.
Well, of course, that's what he said around the comments that were made by the observer missions. I did also ask him about whether he was, one, confident that this election they conducted, him and his staff conducted this election as best as they could, and his answer was an affirmative yes, that he can say without any fear of contradicting himself that they did Tanzania proud. I also asked him about whether in fact he doesn't think there will be any comebacks, and whether indeed he thinks that there will be an announcement of the final results on Thursday, and there too he said that he is confident that on Thursday they will be able to announce who will be the president of Tanzania.
Thank you so much for that. That's our contributing editor, Vuyo Mvoko, live to us from Tanzania.